Governor, I'm sure you're aware of our investment to higher education here in Kingsport, and as Governor, you have been a wonderful supporter of communities who are doing things like this. Can you speak briefly on the importance of that kind of investment in the community?
Yeah. I think it's very important, very meaningful when communities step forward with these things. I know that when I try to sell things in the state legislature, one of the common questions is always, well, what is local government doing about this? And in the case of Kingsport, you can say a lot. And I think you are leading the state right now in this area. There are other cities who are emulating what you're doing and trying to put similar programs together. And I hope that ultimately the state can come forward. I proposed that about a year and a half ago, and it's one of the many things I proposed that didn't quite make the cutting room floor. But I think you're doing a great job in that regard. I think the business leadership here in Sullivan County, here in Kingsport, really understands the importance of workforce development, the importance of having an educated workforce and having those higher level of skills, and I really admire them for it.
Thank you. At this morning's event, you talked about how the federal stimulus package could affect Tennessee's budget. Can you speak briefly on that for those that weren't in attendance today?
Sure. The federal stimulus program, obviously we don't know it in great detail. We have the House version that's come out. It probably will be changed in the Senate, and then it may get changed again in a conference committee. But so far, it is a very generous program. I mean, it certainly takes many of the painful things that I was going to have to do in the budget off the table at this point. I was looking at having to lay off up toward 2,300 people. I think with this stimulus package, if it remains in anything like its current form, that number could easily be zero, or in any event be a vastly smaller number. And at times like these, there's nothing that gives me more pain than telling somebody they don't have a job. And so I'm very grateful for that. It certainly can help with some of the things that we're doing to help the healthcare community take care of patients who don't have insurance, for example, and that's a worthwhile thing to do. It's clearly going to help with education. But this is a generous package. I mean, we will get around $3.9 billion from the federal government over a 2-year period, which is an enormous amount of money, some of which can be used to help alleviate our budget issues, and much of which is going to infrastructure projects and other very specific kinds of investments.
And finally, as we look to new energies and new technologies, how do you see our local resource, coal, fitting into that equation?
Look, coal is going to be a major part of the energy picture for a half a century yet. I mean, it's for a long time to come. I actually think you're very well positioned. There's going to be an awful lot of interest in, that people call it clean coal, alternative coal technologies, the kind of stuff that on coal gasification that Eastman's been doing for a quarter of a century now. I mean, finally has, in a way, has kind of come of age. And I suspect that they're going to start seeing a lot more interest in that kind of technology as a way to, take this very abundant resource that we have in this country, and certainly some of it right here in Tennessee, and use it in a more responsible way.
And finally, we've always had a wonderful working relationship with you and your staff. And just on behalf of the Kingsport Chamber and our region, I just wanted to thank you for making time out of your schedule to address our business community today.
Well, it's my pleasure, and the feeling is mutual. I've loved working with chambers, and you have a particularly good one here. I think we've had a great partnership for 6 years, and I hope for 2 more.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks. Appreciate it.